Welcome back, viewers, to Ultra Prime Selections. We're dedicated to bringing you in-depth analysis on the issues that matter most. Today, we're diving into a topic that's critical to every single one of us: the future of grid security in North America. Section 2, The Invisible Lifeline: Why Grid Security Matters to You. The power grid is often referred to as the invisible lifeline of modern society. It's the silent workhorse that powers our homes, businesses, transportation systems, and communication networks. We rarely give it a second thought, yet our dependence on this intricate network of power plants, transmission lines, and substations is absolute. Section 3, When the Lights Go Out. A glimpse into a grid-down scenario. Imagine a scenario where the lights go out and they stay out. Not for a few hours, but for days, weeks, or even longer. This isn't science fiction. It's a very real possibility that we must prepare for. In the event of a prolonged grid-down scenario, our daily lives would be turned upside down. The conveniences we take for granted would vanish, and we'd be forced to confront the challenges of survival in a world without electricity. Section 4. The stakes are higher than ever, from inconvenience to catastrophe. As we've seen, the consequences of a grid failure extend far beyond mere inconvenience. The stakes are higher than ever, with the potential for widespread social, economic, and political instability. The very fabric of our society is at risk. In a world increasingly reliant on technology and interconnected systems, a grid-down scenario could have catastrophic consequences. The longer the outage, the more severe the impacts. Section 5. Beyond the headlines, a deeper dive into grid vulnerability. While news headlines often focus on the immediate aftermath of major storms or cyber attacks, the vulnerabilities of our power grid run much deeper. To truly understand the scope of the challenge, we need to look beyond the sensationalized headlines and delve into the systemic weaknesses that make our grid so susceptible to disruption. One of the most pressing issues is the age and condition of our existing infrastructure. Much of the North American power grid was constructed in the decades following World War II, and while it has undergone periodic upgrades and expansions, a significant portion of the system is nearing the end of its intended lifespan. This aging infrastructure is more prone to equipment failures, requires more frequent maintenance, and is less adaptable to the demands of a 21st century energy landscape. Section 1. The crumbling backbone, aging infrastructure, and the grid's Achilles heel. As we delve deeper into the vulnerabilities of North America's power grid, it becomes glaringly apparent that one of the most pressing issues is the age and condition of the infrastructure itself. Like a once mighty bridge slowly succumbing to rust and decay, our power grid in many regions is showing its age, with components designed and built decades ago struggling to keep pace with the demands of a 21st century society increasingly reliant on electricity. This aging infrastructure is not merely a cosmetic concern, it represents a fundamental weakness that undermines the grid's reliability and resilience. Many power lines, transformers, and substations have been in operation for 50 years or more, exceeding their intended lifespan, and becoming increasingly susceptible to malfunctions, breakdowns, and even catastrophic failures. Section 2. When nature attacks, extreme weather, and the grid under siege. While the aging infrastructure of the North American power grid presents a constant challenge, it's the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events that have truly exposed the system's vulnerability. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's a present reality that's already wreaking havoc on our world, and the power grid is squarely in the crosshairs of these increasingly volatile weather patterns. From hurricanes and floods to wildfires and ice storms, extreme weather events can bring down power lines, damage substations, disrupt fuel supplies, and overwhelm the grid's capacity to deliver electricity, leading to widespread outages that can cripple communities and paralyze entire regions. The impact of these events extends far beyond the immediate damage they inflict. The fragility of North America's power grid is further amplified by the interconnected nature of the system itself. While this interconnectedness is designed to enhance reliability by allowing for the sharing of power resources across regions, it also creates a vulnerability known as cascading failures. In a cascading failure, a disruption in one part of the grid can trigger a chain reaction of failures that spread rapidly, like dominoes toppling one after another, potentially leading to a widespread blackout. Imagine a scenario where a severe thunderstorm knocks down a major transmission line. This initial disruption can overload other parts of the grid as they try to compensate for the lost power flow. While extreme weather events and aging infrastructure pose significant threats to the power grid, it's important to recognize that the human element also plays a critical role in grid vulnerability. From unintentional errors and lack of awareness to deliberate acts of sabotage and cyber attacks, human actions and inactions can have a profound impact on the reliability and security of our power systems. One area where the human element comes into play is in the operation and maintenance of the grid itself. Grid operators are tasked with a complex and demanding job, requiring constant vigilance and the ability to make critical decisions in real time to ensure the stable and reliable flow of electricity. However, even the most experienced operators are susceptible to human error, particularly when faced with fatigue, stress, or information overload. The consequences of grid disruptions extend far beyond the inconvenience of a temporary blackout. The economic and social costs of power outages can be substantial, impacting businesses, communities, and individuals in profound ways. From lost productivity and revenue to damaged equipment and spoiled goods, the financial toll of grid disruptions can ripple through the economy, affecting businesses of all sizes and sectors. For businesses, particularly those in industries heavily reliant on electricity, such as manufacturing, healthcare, and retail, even a short power outage can result in significant financial losses. Production lines can grind to a halt, perishable goods can spoil, data can be lost, and customer transactions can be disrupted, leading to lost revenue, increased operating costs, and damage to a company's reputation. As we've seen, the North American power grid faces a confluence of challenges, from aging infrastructure and extreme weather events to cyber threats and the human element. These challenges, if left unaddressed, will continue to undermine the grid's reliability and resilience, putting our economy, our security, and our way of life at risk. The time for complacency is over. We stand at a crossroads, and the path forward is clear. We must modernize and fortify our power grid to meet the demands of the 21st century. Modernizing the grid is not simply about replacing old equipment with new. It requires a fundamental shift in how we think about and manage our electricity systems. It's about embracing new technologies, adopting innovative approaches, and fostering collaboration among stakeholders to create a smarter, more resilient, and more secure grid. As we've seen, the North American power grid faces a multitude of challenges, from aging infrastructure and extreme weather events to the ever-present threat of cyber attacks. In today's interconnected world, where digital systems control the flow of electricity that powers our lives, the power grid has become a prime target for cyber adversaries, ranging from nation-states seeking to disrupt critical infrastructure to criminal gangs looking to extort money or steal sensitive data. These cyber threats are not merely hypothetical, they are real and growing in frequency and sophistication. In recent years, we've witnessed a surge in cyber attacks targeting the energy sector, with hackers exploiting vulnerabilities in grid control systems, communication networks, and even the devices we use in our homes and businesses to manage our energy consumption. The stakes in the cyber game are higher than ever, with the potential consequences of a successful attack on the power grid extending far beyond mere inconvenience. In a world increasingly reliant on electricity for everything from communication and transportation to healthcare and national defense, a widespread grid failure caused by a cyber attack could have devastating and long-lasting impacts on our economy, our security, and our way of life. Imagine a scenario where a sophisticated cyber attack cripples the power grid in a major metropolitan area, plunging millions into darkness. Traffic lights go dark, causing gridlock and accidents. Hospitals struggle to function, their life-saving equipment rendered useless without power. Businesses are forced to close their doors, their operations paralyzed by the lack of electricity. Section 3. The Evolving Threat Landscape, a cat-and-mouse game with cyber adversaries. The cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving, with adversaries developing new tactics, techniques, and procedures to exploit vulnerabilities in the power grid and other critical infrastructure. This constant evolution presents a significant challenge for grid operators, security researchers, and policymakers, who must constantly adapt their defenses and strategies to stay one step ahead of the attackers. One of the most concerning trends in the cyber threat landscape is the increasing sophistication of the adversaries targeting the power grid. Nation-states in particular have invested heavily in developing advanced cyber capabilities, including the ability to launch sophisticated attacks against critical infrastructure. Section 4. The weak links in the chain, exploiting vulnerabilities in the digital age. The increasing reliance on digital systems and automation in the energy sector, while offering many benefits in terms of efficiency and reliability, has also introduced new vulnerabilities that cyber adversaries can exploit. Understanding these vulnerabilities is essential for developing effective strategies to mitigate cyber threats and enhance the resilience of the power grid. One of the most significant vulnerabilities is the legacy equipment and software still in use in many parts of the power grid. As mentioned earlier, much of the grid's infrastructure is aging, with some components dating back decades. This legacy equipment often lacks modern security features and may be running outdated operating systems and software that are riddled with known vulnerabilities. Section 5. Building a cyber-resilient grid strategies for a more secure energy future. Protecting the power grid from cyber threats is a complex and multifaceted challenge, requiring a comprehensive and proactive approach that addresses both the technical and human aspects of cybersecurity. There is no single silver bullet solution. Instead, building a cyber-resilient grid requires a multi-layered strategy that combines technological solutions with strong policies, procedures, and workforce training. One crucial aspect of building a cyber-resilient grid is strengthening the security of the grid's digital infrastructure. This includes implementing strong passwords and multi-factor authentication, regularly patching and updating software and firmware, segmenting networks to limit the impact of a breach, and deploying intrusion detection and prevention systems to identify and block malicious activity. Protecting the power grid from cyber threats is not a task that any one entity can tackle alone. It requires a collaborative approach, bringing together government agencies, industry stakeholders, security researchers, and international partners to share information, coordinate responses, and develop innovative solutions to address the evolving cyber threat landscape. Governments play a crucial role in setting cybersecurity standards, providing guidance and resources to critical infrastructure operators, and coordinating responses to major cyber incidents. In the United States, the Department of Energy and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency are the lead agencies responsible for protecting the energy sector from cyber threats. As we've seen, the traditional centralized model of electricity generation and distribution, with its reliance on large power plants and a vast network of transmission lines, faces growing challenges in the 21st century. Aging infrastructure, extreme weather events, and cyber threats all pose significant risks to the reliability and resilience of this centralized grid. However, amidst these challenges, a paradigm shift is underway in the energy sector. A shift towards a more decentralized, flexible, and resilient grid, powered by a growing array of distributed energy resources. DERs encompass a wide range of technologies that generate or store electricity closer to the point of consumption, reducing reliance on the centralized grid and offering numerous benefits for grid reliability, resilience, and sustainability. One of the most transformative aspects of the rise of DERs is the shift from a passive consumer-centric model of electricity consumption to a more active and engaged prosumer model, where individuals and businesses not only consume, but also generate and even store their own electricity. This empowerment of the edge of the grid, the millions of homes, businesses, and communities that were once simply endpoints for electricity delivery, is fundamentally changing the dynamics of the energy sector. Rooftop solar panels, for example, allow homeowners and businesses to generate their own clean electricity, reducing their reliance on the grid and potentially even selling excess power back to the utility. Battery storage systems, coupled with solar panels or other DERs, empower consumers to store energy when it's abundant and use it when it's needed most, such as during peak demand periods or power outages. Section 3. The sun in your hands. Rooftop solar and the democratization of energy. Among the many distributed energy resources transforming the power grid, rooftop solar panels stand out as a shining example of the democratization of energy. Once a niche technology primarily embraced by early adopters and environmental enthusiasts, rooftop solar has gone mainstream in recent years, becoming an increasingly affordable and accessible way for homeowners and businesses to generate their own clean electricity. The declining cost of solar panels, coupled with government incentives and innovative financing options, has made rooftop solar more attractive than ever. As more and more people recognize the economic and environmental benefits of solar energy, rooftop solar installations have skyrocketed, transforming rooftops across the country into mini power plants. Section 4. Batteries included. Energy storage as a game-changer for grid resilience. While rooftop solar and other forms of distributed generation are transforming the way we generate electricity, energy storage is emerging as the critical missing piece of the puzzle, enabling us to harness the full potential of renewable energy and create a truly resilient and sustainable grid. Energy storage addresses one of the fundamental challenges of renewable energy sources, like solar and wind, their intermittency. The sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow, meaning that the output of solar and wind power plants can fluctuate depending on weather conditions. This intermittency has long been a barrier to the widespread adoption of renewable energy, as utilities have struggled to balance supply and demand when dealing with these variable energy sources. Section 5. The Smart Grid Revolution. Transforming energy management with data and intelligence. The rise of distributed energy resources such as rooftop solar, wind turbines, and battery storage systems is fundamentally changing the landscape of the electricity grid, transforming it from a one-way flow of electricity from centralized power plants to consumers into a more dynamic and interactive network. Managing this increasingly complex grid requires new tools and approaches, and that's where the smart grid revolution comes in. The smart grid is not a single technology, but rather a suite of technologies and strategies that leverage data, automation, and two-way communication to enhance the efficiency, reliability, resilience, and sustainability of the electricity grid. Section 6. Building a more responsive grid, enhancing situational awareness and control. The smart grid revolution is not just about improving the reliability of the electricity grid, it's also about creating a more responsive and adaptable grid that can accommodate the increasing penetration of variable renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind power. As we transition to a cleaner and more sustainable energy future, the grid must be able to handle the fluctuations in output that come with these intermittent renewable sources. This requires a fundamental shift from the traditional model of grid operation, which was designed for a relatively predictable and controllable energy mix dominated by fossil fuel-fired power plants. The smart grid provides the tools and technologies necessary to manage this more complex and dynamic grid environment, enabling utilities to integrate higher levels of renewable energy while maintaining grid stability and reliability. Section 1. The Rise of the Grid Guardians, Artificial Intelligence, and the Future of Energy Management. As we've explored the evolving landscape of the electricity grid, one theme has emerged as a common thread: the increasing complexity of managing this critical infrastructure in the 21st century. From the influx of distributed energy resources to the growing threat of cyber attacks, grid operators face a daunting array of challenges in ensuring the reliable, resilient, and sustainable delivery of electricity. However, amidst these challenges lies a powerful ally: artificial intelligence, or AI. Once relegated to the realm of science fiction, AI is rapidly transforming industries across the globe, and the energy sector is no exception. AI's ability to analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and make predictions with remarkable accuracy is proving to be a game-changer for grid management, enabling a more proactive, efficient, and secure energy future. Section 2. Predictive power. Anticipating and preventing outages before they occur. One of the most promising applications of AI in the energy sector is its ability to predict and prevent power outages before they occur. Traditionally, grid operators have relied on reactive approaches to outage management, responding to problems as they arise. However, this reactive approach is no longer sufficient in today's complex and dynamic grid environment. AI is enabling a shift from reactive to proactive outage management, providing grid operators with the tools to anticipate potential problems and take steps to mitigate them before they impact customers. At the heart of this predictive power is AI's ability to analyze vast amounts of data from various sources, including smart meters, sensors deployed throughout the grid, weather forecasts, and even social media feeds. Section 3. From reactive to proactive, using AI to enhance grid resilience. The benefits of AI in grid management extend far beyond predicting and preventing outages. AI is also playing a crucial role in enhancing grid resilience, enabling the grid to withstand and recover more quickly from disruptions, whether caused by extreme weather events, cyber attacks, or other unforeseen circumstances. One way AI enhances grid resilience is through its ability to optimize grid operations and resource allocation in real time. AI algorithms can analyze grid conditions, weather forecasts, and other data to predict load patterns and identify potential vulnerabilities in the grid. This information allows grid operators to make more informed decisions about how to allocate resources, such as adjusting voltage levels, rerouting power flow, or dispatching mobile generators to ensure grid stability and minimize the impact of disruptions. Section 4. The power of pattern recognition machine learning on the front lines of grid security. Machine learning, a subset of AI that focuses on enabling computer systems to learn from data without explicit programming, is proving to be a particularly powerful tool for enhancing grid security. Machine learning algorithms excel at identifying patterns and anomalies in vast datasets, making them ideally suited for detecting and responding to cyber threats, which often manifest as subtle deviations from normal grid behavior. One of the key advantages of machine learning in cybersecurity is its ability to adapt and learn over time. As cyber adversaries constantly evolve their tactics and techniques, traditional rule-based security systems can struggle to keep pace. Section 5. Outsmarting the cyber adversary's AI as a force multiplier in cybersecurity. The use of AI in cybersecurity is not limited to detecting and responding to attacks. It can also be used proactively to strengthen the grid's defenses and make it more difficult for cyber adversaries to succeed. One way AI is being used to enhance grid security is through threat intelligence and risk assessment. AI-powered systems can analyze vast amounts of data from various sources, including threat intelligence feeds, vulnerability databases, and even dark web forums, to identify emerging threats, assess the potential impact of those threats on the grid, and prioritize mitigation efforts based on risk. The human-AI partnership, balancing automation with expertise. While AI is transforming the way we manage and secure the electricity grid, it's important to remember that AI is not a panacea. AI systems are only as good as the data they are trained on and the algorithms that power them. Moreover, AI systems can be vulnerable to adversarial attacks, where attackers attempt to manipulate the data or algorithms to trick the AI into making incorrect decisions. Therefore, it's crucial to approach the use of AI in grid security with a healthy dose of caution and to ensure that human expertise remains an integral part of the equation. The most effective approach to grid security in the age of AI is not to replace human operators with machines, but rather to create a human-AI partnership, where AI augments and enhances human capabilities, providing operators with the insights and tools they need to make better decisions, respond more effectively to threats, and ensure the reliable and secure operation of the grid. Securing our energy future. The urgent need for grid modernization. As we've seen throughout this exploration of grid security, the North American power grid stands at a critical juncture. The challenges are real and growing, from aging infrastructure and extreme weather events to the ever-present threat of cyber attacks. The consequences of inaction are simply too great to ignore. Our economy, our security, and our way of life depend on a reliable and resilient electricity grid. The time for complacency is over. We must act now to modernize our grid and secure our energy future for generations to come. Modernizing the grid is not simply about replacing old equipment with new. It's about fundamentally transforming the way we generate, distribute, and consume electricity. Bridging the investment gap, a call for public-private partnerships. The scale of investment required to modernize the North American power grid is substantial, and no single entity, government, utilities, or private investors can shoulder the burden alone. A successful grid modernization effort will require a collaborative approach, leveraging the strengths and resources of both the public and private sectors. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, offer a proven model for financing and implementing large-scale infrastructure projects, and they will be essential for bridging the investment gap in grid modernization. PPPs bring together the financial resources and expertise of the private sector with the policy-making authority and regulatory oversight of the government, creating a synergistic relationship that can drive innovation and accelerate the deployment of critical infrastructure. Section 3, Smart Grid, Smarter Investments. Prioritizing technologies for a resilient grid. As we invest in grid modernization, it's essential to prioritize technologies and strategies that will deliver the greatest return on investment in terms of enhanced reliability, resilience, and security. The smart grid, with its ability to leverage data, automation, and two-way communication to optimize grid operations, should be at the forefront of our modernization efforts. Within the broad category of smart grid technologies, certain areas deserve particular attention. Advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI. Smart meters, which provide real-time data on electricity consumption, are the foundation of the smart grid. AMI enables utilities to better understand load patterns, detect outages more quickly, and implement demand response programs to reduce peak demand and enhance grid flexibility. Distribution automation, or DA. DA technologies, such as automated switches and sensors, allow utilities to remotely control and monitor the distribution grid, improving reliability, reducing outage times, and facilitating the integration of distributed energy resources, or DERs. Volt-VAR optimization, or VVO. VVO technologies optimize voltage and reactive power flow on the grid, improving efficiency, reducing losses, and enhancing the grid's ability to accommodate variable, renewable energy sources. Section 4. Cybersecurity no longer an option, but an imperative. In today's interconnected world where digital systems control the flow of electricity that powers our lives, cybersecurity is no longer an optional extra, but an absolute imperative for grid modernization. As we digitize our grid, we must do so with cybersecurity as a top priority, building in security from the ground up, and adopting a proactive, multi-layered approach to threat detection and mitigation. Investing in cybersecurity means not only deploying the latest security technologies, such as intrusion detection and prevention systems, firewalls, and anti-malware software, but also fostering a culture of cybersecurity awareness and vigilance throughout the energy sector. This includes providing regular cybersecurity training to employees at all levels of the organization, raising awareness of common cyber threats and attack vectors, and establishing clear policies and procedures for reporting suspicious activity and responding to security incidents. Section 5. Unlocking the potential of energy storage. Investing in the future of grid flexibility. Energy storage is no longer a futuristic concept but a critical component of a modern, resilient, and sustainable grid. As we continue to deploy more renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power, energy storage will play an increasingly important role in smoothing out the intermittency of these resources, enhancing grid reliability, and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. Investing in energy storage means supporting the development and deployment of a range of storage technologies, from lithium-ion batteries, which are well-suited for short-duration storage applications, to pumped hydro storage, which offers large-scale energy storage capacity. Section 6. Empowering the Grid Guardians. Investing in the AI workforce of tomorrow. As we've seen throughout this exploration of grid security, artificial intelligence, or AI, is poised to play a transformative role in enhancing grid reliability, resilience, and security. From predicting outages to optimizing grid operations to detecting cyber threats, AI is empowering grid operators with the insights and tools they need to manage the increasingly complex grid of the 21st century. However, realizing the full potential of AI in the energy sector requires more than just investing in the technology itself. We must also invest in the workforce of tomorrow, equipping the next generation of engineers, operators, and cybersecurity professionals with the skills and knowledge they need to harness the power of AI. Section 1. Connecting the dots. A holistic view of grid security. As we reach the culmination of our in-depth exploration of grid security, it's crucial to take a step back and connect the dots, weaving together the various threads we've examined into a cohesive understanding of this complex and multifaceted challenge. We began by pulling back the curtain on the often invisible lifeline of modern society, the power grid, revealing its intricate workings and highlighting its critical role in powering our homes, businesses, and essential services. We've delved into the vulnerabilities that plague this critical infrastructure, from the aging equipment and inadequate cybersecurity measures to the growing threat of extreme weather events and cyber attacks. We've explored the potential consequences of grid disruptions, ranging from inconvenience and economic losses to widespread chaos and threats to national security. Section 2. The power of awareness. Knowledge as the first line of defense. Throughout this journey, one theme has emerged as a recurring motif: the power of awareness. Knowledge is the first line of defense in any security endeavor, and grid security is no exception. By understanding the vulnerabilities of our power grid, the threats it faces, and the potential consequences of disruptions, we can make more informed decisions about how to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities. This awareness begins with recognizing that grid security is not solely the responsibility of governments and utilities. It's a shared responsibility that requires the active participation of all stakeholders, including individuals, businesses, and communities. We can't simply take our electricity for granted. We must be engaged citizens, staying informed about grid security issues, supporting policies that promote grid modernization and resilience, and taking steps to prepare ourselves and our homes for potential disruptions. While advocating for grid modernization and strengthening our collective defenses against cyber threats is essential, it's equally crucial to empower ourselves with a degree of energy independence. By reducing our reliance on the centralized grid, we can mitigate the impact of outages on our lives and enhance our resilience in the face of disruptions. One of the most effective ways to achieve energy independence is through the adoption of distributed energy resources, such as rooftop solar panels and battery storage systems. As we discussed earlier, distributed energy resources offer numerous benefits, from reducing our carbon footprint and lowering our electricity bills to providing backup power during outages and enhancing grid resilience. Section 4. Preparing for the unthinkable. Building resilience for a grid-down scenario. While we hope for the best, it's also prudent to prepare for the worst. In the event of a prolonged grid-down scenario, whether caused by a natural disaster, a cyber attack, or some other unforeseen event, having a plan in place and being prepared can make all the difference in ensuring your safety and well-being. Preparing for a grid-down scenario is not about succumbing to fear or paranoia. It's about taking responsible steps to mitigate risks and enhance your resilience, just as you would prepare for a hurricane, a blizzard, or any other potential emergency. This preparation begins with assessing your own needs and vulnerabilities. Section 5. A call to action. Shaping the future of grid security together. The future of grid security is not preordained, it's something we shape through our collective actions and choices. By raising awareness, advocating for change, and taking steps to empower ourselves, we can create a more resilient, secure, and sustainable energy future for generations to come. This call to action begins with staying informed. Educate yourself about the challenges and opportunities facing our power grid. Follow industry news, read articles and reports, and engage in conversations about grid security with your family, friends, and colleagues. The more we understand about the grid and the threats it faces, the better equipped we will be to advocate for solutions. Section 6. Stay informed, stay connected. The Ultra-Prime Selections Advantage. Grid security is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that requires constant vigilance, adaptation, and innovation. The threats we face today will continue to evolve, and new challenges will undoubtedly emerge. That's why it's crucial to stay informed and stay connected with reliable sources of information and analysis. Here at Ultra-Prime Selections, we are committed to bringing you in-depth coverage and expert insights on the issues that matter most, including the critical topic of grid security. We believe that knowledge is power, and by empowering our viewers with the information they need, we can collectively contribute to a safer, more resilient, and more sustainable